down to shadow my good intentions. Why on earth did I agree to teach this class? Patty and Shannon, my daughters, both live on the East Coast, which means they aren't likely to stay up if I miss their calls. Neither will forget my birthday, but Patricia is a busy lawyer, and Shannon's two little ones wear her out. Tell the girls I'll call them tomorrow. I blow Carl a kiss, then slip the car into reverse and edge into the night. Chapter 2. Curled into himself, the character rests in a beam of light, while soft darkness supports his fragile form. A voice strikes his ear like a wave, vibrating inside his head as the light gilds his bare skin. He is conscious only of warmth, words, and an assurance that he is safe and valued. He gasps and inhales a first breath of brightness. Why he is, what he is, and where he is, none of these things matter yet. He is William, a whispering voice tells him. He is William Case, and he is alive. He has been fashioned for a purpose, so he is not to fear. The one who willed him into being will guide him to his destiny. I have outlined a plan for you. The words patter like water droplets on his inexperienced ears, registering without resonating. He blinks his dazzled eyes and brings his hand toward his face, smiling as the fingers bend and bow to his will. Alive. Before he was alive, he knew nothing. But now he blinks and bends and hears, while a rush of information streams through his head. A flood of words spills before his eyes, each representing something he will need to know. Images accompany the words, bright pictures of objects his eyes have never seen. When the procession ceases, he turns in the light, but he sees nothing beyond the edge of its beam. He feels only warmth. He hears nothing but the faint creak of his untested joints as they obey his commands. So he waits. Chapter 3. I open the door into a room of students jabbering like a flock of crows, but the noise fades as I thread my way through an aisle cluttered with backpacks, purses, and sneakered feet. I stop at the front of the room where a whiteboard table and lectern wait. I can feel the pressure of eyes on my back like an itch. They probably think I'm a secretary. Come to tell them the famous Jordan Casey has been unavoidably detained. I wish. I turn and drop my purse onto the table, then grip the lectern with both hands. Good evening. I lift my gaze for the first time. This class is an introduction to novel writing. If you're looking for women's studies, chemistry, or badminton, you may now excuse yourself. My students stare at me with questioning eyes until I smile. Then they chuckle. Seriously, a kid about Zachary's age calls above the laughter. When's he coming? Just as I expected. The class doesn't begin until 7, I tell them. I'll explain everything then. As a pair of latecomers shuffle in, I step back and study the assembled group. Most of my students appear to be in their early 20s, but middle age has settled over at least a half dozen of them. A thin woman at the back of the room looks to be at least 60. I suppose Zachary was right to worry that one of his friends might be in my class. The place is crowded with young men waiting to meet Jordan Casey, dashing author of the testosterone-laced Rex Tower novels. They're not expecting to meet Jordan Casey Kerrigan, middle-aged wife and mother of 3. I lower my gaze, purposefully keeping my face smooth and blank as the remaining minutes tick by. Though Zachary and my career were conceived in the same year, my son is not my biggest fan. I thought my unanticipated baby and unexpected career would complement each other, but my son resents my fictional alter ego, and my writing suffers from the demands of my troublesome son. When the clock on the wall advances to 7, a man in the front pointedly clears his throat. I immediately recognize him and his companion. Dr. Whitson, Dr. Bell, I'm honored you would attend. Dr. Avery Whitson, president of Truckee Meadows Community College, rises from his seat. I wanted to come tonight, he says, turning to address the students, and personally thank Jordan Casey for this great privilege. It's not often we get writers of her caliber to visit our campus. Her willingness to join our faculty this semester has honored us beyond words. I hear gasps of astonishment as I step forward and clasp Whitson's hand. Thank you, sir. The honor is mine. I'm puzzled when Whitson holds my grip a moment longer than necessary, but the reason becomes clear when a camera flashes. I bare my teeth in a belated smile, knowing one of these shots will appear in the next school newspaper, probably along with reviews of both my latest novel and my teaching style. Have a good class, Whitson says, still playing to the audience. If you need anything, don't hesitate to call my office. As the college president leaves, photographer in tow, I acknowledge the other dignitary. Dr. Bell, thank you for coming. The chairman of the English department nods, but a flush colors his cheeks. When he doesn't move to give a speech or shake my hand, I return to the lectern. If the English professor is sticking around, he probably wants to write a novel. Who doesn't? Linking my hands behind my back, I turn my attention to my students. Between 30 and 40 faces stare back at me, eyes brimming with varying levels of curiosity, desire, and drive. I draw a deep breath. Before we begin our official study, I thought it might be nice to have a time of questions and answers. I'd like to know what you'd like to learn in this course, and you may have questions you'd like to ask up front. If so, this is the time to ask them. A wave of silence greets my suggestion, followed by a timid hand. I recognize the young man who spoke earlier. Yes? You're a woman. The class laughs when I respond with wide eyes and a dropped jaw. Really? He blushes. I mean, everyone thinks Jordan Casey is a man. Not everyone, surely. My publisher knows I'm a woman. So does my agent. The student grins. Come on, that's not fair. I think you all are conning us. Like, why don't they put your picture on the back cover? I lift my hand, conceding his point. I'll admit having a gender-neutral name may be an advantage when you write about a super spy, but my gender isn't the main reason my picture isn't on my books. The young man lifts a brow. And the main reason is? I'm one of those women who prefers to guard her privacy. Why should my gender be an issue? There are plenty of men who write about women. Yeah, but most women write that mushy romance stuff. Rex Tower is never mushy. I beg to differ. Rex has his tender moments. I rest one elbow on the lectern and smile at my interrogator. What's your name? Zappariello, he answers. Michael, but everyone calls me Mike. Well, Mike, I'm a firm believer in writing whatever you want to write. When I began my first Rex Tower novel, I was raising 2 daughters and had just learned that I was expecting a son. At that point in my